is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
That was a quote from George Orwell's 1984, a novel written in 1949 about a dystopian future where every citizen is under constant surveillance by the authorities. The entire society is controlled and manipulated, and the people are constantly reminded of this with propaganda painted everywhere, stating the now legendary slogan, "Big Brother is watching you." The world of virtual reality might be undergoing a similar oppression, not by the government, but by the lizard man himself. Okay, I'm being a bit dramatic. Though Facebook has faced criticism for business decisions in the past regarding VR, it is far from becoming a totalitarian regime, and Mark Zuckerberg is not a lizard. He's a robot. Recently, one morning after putting on my Quest 2, I received a message from Facebook in the headset. It was an invite-only access to try out the new VR social platform, Facebook Horizons. This game, much like VRchat and Rec Room, is an online virtual space where you can meet and interact with other players from across the world. You can hang out, play games, customize your character, and even create worlds to share with everyone else. Outside of a few bugs, this game is very clean and polished. Traveling in this world is very simple, and even though it's in its beta phase, there are a lot of worlds and games to meet people and play in. However, in this friendly virtual world lies an all-seeing authoritative eye. But to explain that, let's back up a bit. If the VR gaming market is a newly discovered continent, Facebook is Christopher Columbus, coming to conquer and populate. Not the first to discover it, but the first to open it up to the rest of the world. Facebook did this by releasing the Oculus Quest 2, a high-quality standalone VR headset for only $300. Compared with other headsets like the Valve Index, which also require a high-level PC, cost up into the thousands. The entry point for VR has been insanely high for a long time, but Facebook has lowered the bar so people, like me, without an insanely fast PC, can enjoy all that VR has to offer. This headset alone is responsible for almost a third of all VR headsets in circulation, and it's only been out for less than a year. Now, I made another video about why Facebook sold this headset for such a low price if you want to watch it after this one, but to sum it up, they want to own VR, and they're on their way to doing it. So with that context, let's look back at Facebook Horizons and compare it with another social VR title, VRchat. If Horizons is the clean-cut, straight-laced family member, VRchat is its crazy redheaded step-sibling.
Dubai was lit. Yo, bro, Dubai was lit.
In VRchat, there are hundreds of worlds and thousands of avatars to choose from. You can do stand-up, watch TV, get in a shootout, or just hang out with your friends. This Wild West-like environment is completely missing from Facebook Horizons. And much like the infamous Big Brother posters sprawling throughout the city in 1984 are similar reminders in Horizon. Every time I boot up the game or load a new world, I am reminded about the user safety guidelines and what happens if you breach them. These terms of service aren't bad necessarily, they just encourage you to be kind to others online, and if you aren't, other players have just the press of a button to report you, where your case will then be sent to Facebook directly. Here's where it gets kind of Orwellian though. Whenever playing the game, Facebook is recording the video and audio of your headset. That includes everything you see, hear, and say. The purpose of this is so when Facebook reviews a case of someone being reported for disobeying the terms of service, they can look through the last 2 minutes of recorded content to determine if the report was legitimate or not. Now, most people are familiar with the claims thrown at Facebook for selling its users' data. And it very well may be true that Facebook is using recorded audio and video to make more data points in a virtual data profile to sell to advertisers. But even if all those claims are false and Facebook is genuinely just using the last 2 minutes to review their terms of service policy, there's still a bigger problem. Freedom. With such a rigid format, Horizons lacks the one thing that makes VR interesting in the first place. It's freedom. In VRchat, you can be a monster, a hero, a cartoon, or anything in between. In VRchat, you can visit hundreds of colorful worlds showcasing a variety of detail and style. In Horizons, everything has the same highly maintained Disney-like aesthetic. in VRchat, the people are wild and chaotic.
Do you know the way?
I know the way.
You have to have Ebola to know the way. Do not run. You cannot escape the devil.
While in Horizons, systems are in place to ensure players stay in line under the threat of being reported. Not to say that Horizons is all bad though, my favorite part of the game is that there's a system to make and program games in the application. You don't need to know a single line of code to understand the fairly simple rules in developing a game you can publish for others to play. To create a world or a game in VRchat is much more complicated. You have to build everything from the ground up on your own. And though a variety of free avatars are available for players to use in VRchat, customizing a character to fit your needs or desires is also very difficult unless you have experience with 3D modeling. And on top of that, having options to report people for hate speech and bullying is important. In VRchat, those options are there, but they're buried in confusing and extensive menus, without even so much as a tutorial to help you out. But in my mind, these benefits of Horizon are overshadowed by the idea that a corporation that almost owns the entire market is trying to gain further control by creating an application intended to replace a much-loved one, possibly acquiring more and more until every game, in-app purchase, and social interaction in VR is being monitored by Big Brother.